This is the program that shows you the side of police chase videos they didn't want you to see. Bungled arrests, kamikaze crooks and cop-based carnage of all kinds. Welcome to Cops Uncut, the real car crash TV.
On my way. Car's on fire.
Coming up in Cops Uncut. A young boozer has trouble finding the car door. This bright spark leads cops on a wild goose chase. And this confused copper comes a cropper when he ignores some road signs.
260 at the corner. On my way.
'Twas the week before Christmas and no one was stirring, except for this big red pickup which has been stirring up a whole heap of nonsense on this Georgia highway. As well as displaying a blatant disregard for the local speed limit, the driver's guilty of attempting to elude the officers in pursuit, and it's fairly likely that he's full of Christmas spirits too. Season of goodwill or not, the cops want justice. The truck bobs and weaves through the holiday traffic while the cruiser goes to head him off behind this lorry. And this smashing finish suddenly seals the truck driver's fate. He'll almost certainly be eating this year's Christmas dinner behind bars. Though it looks suspiciously like these two lumpy officers may have already scoffed the lot. This criminal decided to test the cops' crimbo cheer. But this silly mother trucker gets in a spin and is left to the mercy of two fat turkeys. No one likes a gatecrasher, so when an unwelcome traffic cop muscles in on this car full of teenagers,
Good. Do you have your driver's license with you?
the party's definitely over.
Any reason why you're driving so fast?
The policeman starts to take the young driver through a standard stop routine.
Okay. Let's come on back here a minute so I can talk to you a little bit more about it.
But this cop isn't going to be tonight's only uninvited guest.
You guys just still have guns, knives on you, anything like that? You leave your pager in there too.
As a random drunk also makes a surprise entrance.
Alright, you alright?
This bloke has nothing whatsoever to do with the other guys in the car. He's just totally off his face and just happens to stumble headlong into the path of a cop. The officer quickly shifts his attention to the more obvious candidate for arrest
Sit down right here for a minute.
and gets the chance to repeat his whole spiel all over again.
Just come on back here with me so I can talk to you a little bit. You don't carry any weapons or guns or anything like that on you?
The four guys charged with public intoxication and bundled into the back of the cruiser. Now the trooper turns his attention back to the original suspect, but this time the officer is on the young driver's side. He even helps check the car for possible dents from the bonehead's impact.
Do any damage to your car where you hit?
But apart from a little dribble, the man's face has left little impression on the car's bodywork, and the kid is finally allowed to go on his way. Every social gathering has at least one obnoxious drunk. But few provide such a painful reminder of why you should never go chasing parked cars. Still to come, this cop tries a James Bond bridge jump, and these cars make a traffic jam sandwich. To Kansas City now, where the police officers are about to resort to serious measures in order to deal with a much more serious situation. The guy in the truck ahead has already been found guilty of a drug-related crime and sentenced to house arrest, but now he's making an escape attempt from his own home. The cops don't want to hurt him, they just want to take him back into custody. But all the bloke wants to do is speed down the Missouri State Highway as fast as his truck will go. The troopers follow, realizing they're going to have to try something a little more extreme than flashing lights and sirens if they want to stop this guy. So they arrange for another cruiser further down the road to prepare the Stinger. The Stinger's basically a strip of spikes that's laid in front of an oncoming vehicle to blow out its tyres. It's usually only deployed as a last resort. Here's the Stinger cop coming up under this bridge. The truck runs right over the spikes, bursting at least one tyre. A shower of sparks like this one is usually a sure sign that the fugitive is about to lose control. But the cop's determination to catch this guy is matched only by the bloke's hunger for freedom, and he carries on running, rubber or no rubber. It's only after a second Sting was deployed and yet more shredded tyres that the guy finally puts on the brakes. Now, though, the convict does the very worst thing possible. He shoots at his pursuers while attempting to leg it. The cops immediately return fire using the truck as cover. As the original officers close in, further troopers appear armed with shotguns. The man's hopelessly outgunned and later is shot and killed by a bullet to the head. The Kansas City cops tried everything to take this guy without a fight. But when he resorts to firing at them, the police don't hesitate to react with terminal force. If you're a big fan of police chase videos, then you've no doubt often witnessed footage of cops using ramming techniques when they want to drive their point home. Well, this rail-side footage shows a good example of much the same sort of thing, but on a considerably larger scale. Looking at this crash of the Titans again, it's obvious that when a large metal vehicle like this one faces off against a slightly less large metal vehicle like this one, size really does matter. Still to come, there's some uncharacteristic athleticism from this canny cop. And disaster is narrowly avoided in this horrific highway smash.
God damn it! Oh, fuck!
Police Academy Lesson 45, Rules of the Road. As a law enforcement officer, you're king of the road, and many of the highway laws that bind mere mortal drivers simply don't apply to you. Whether you're chasing a crook or not, your squad car gives you complete license to shoot through red lights, or maybe even drive in the left turn lane without actually turning left. You can also put your siren on and drive as fast as you like, wherever you like. But remember, there are some rules that even a traffic cop still needs to obey. If the road hasn't been built yet, then it's really not a good idea to drive down it, particularly if it leads straight over the edge of an unfinished overpass. So next time you're out on patrol, remember, you might not need to stick to the rules, but you should at least try to stick to the road. Class dismissed. The cops are doing everything in their power to make this routine arrest as comfortable as possible.
Is that too tight? Let me loosen it up.
But, as we're about to see, some things are just completely out of police control.
How's that? Is that good?
With the cuffs adjusted, the traffic officer attempts to begin his arrest procedure.
All right, go ahead and spread your feet apart. Spread your feet way apart. Point your toes out.
But he only gets as far as the suspect's trousers before all hell breaks loose.
God damn it! Oh, fuck! And I need an ambulance signal 5.
At this stage, it's not quite clear what's actually happened, but by the sound of it, it's very, very bad.
Son of a bitch! Fuck!
If we switch to the other cop car's dashboard camera, we can see precisely what's occurred.
can stick me or poke me or cut me, right?
Here's the police cruiser whose viewpoint we were looking through before, and the suspect's own vehicle is parked just ahead. The officer and the suspect, remember, are standing between these two cars. Then, out of the blue, an SUV comes from nowhere and demolishes the police cruiser, shunting it forward, and the poor suspect is pinned between his own motor and the smashed-up cop car.
God damn it!
The handcuffed man is still alive, but out for the count. The officer, meanwhile, appears to have received a nasty leg injury.
Oh, my knee's killing me. Son of a bitch.
He tries to pull the suspect free,
This car will not move.
but the man's wedged in too firmly. Slowly, the suspect regains consciousness,
He's coming out right now. Please, the ambulance is on its way.
but is too dazed to know much of what's going on.
Take those off of him, please.
He just sits by the side of the road, staring in disbelief at the carnage he's just been pulled out of. This all started with one type of tight fit,
Okay, is that too tight?
and ended up with another.
Car will not move.
But amazingly, everyone escapes with their life, including the guy who was caught slap bang in the middle. A routine stop's in progress on the hard shoulder of this busy road. We've all driven past similar things, and most of us will probably admit to being just a little bit curious to see what's going on. But take your eyes off the road for a second, and something like this could happen. If he'd been minding his own business, then perhaps this nosy driver wouldn't have ended up parked underneath the car in front. As it is, the cops now have double the trouble. And the passers-by have even more carnage to divert their attention.
Right, I've got the left lane is completely blocked.
The guy in this car is clearly driven to distraction, and the cops end up with a classic case of curiosity killed the cars. We often grumble about the weather, but the rainy day blues can sometimes be a secret ally for the police in the war against crime. Take this dreary Oklahoma morning. The cops want to stop the old white-roofed car in front and are willing to resort to desperate measures.
1860 here. This subject looks like he's...
As far as the fugitive's concerned, rain's not going to stop play, although it may well slow things down a bit.
He's not going very fast.
As the chase continues, the cop begins to get a little impatient.
As dangerous as he is, I may try to spin him out.
But he's obviously forgotten that in conditions like these, all you need to do is wait calmly until the inevitable moment when your subject's balding tires lose their grip on the wet tarmac.
Well, he may wreck out. No, got by.
And something like this is bound to happen.
He's wrecked out.
So remember, if the outlook is for heavy weather, and the chase seems to be going nowhere,
He's not going very fast. Well,
all you need to do is sit back and wait for your suspect to slip-slide away.
he's wrecked out.
Still to come, this cop's rear-ending technique backfires and leaves him stuck in the mud. And this fatty finds no donuts in this car.
260 at the corner.
On my way.
It's often said that policemen possess a special sixth sense that alerts them whenever there's a whiff of danger. A bit like Spider-Man, but with less spandex. At the moment, there doesn't seem to be anything at the scene of this routine South Carolina traffic stop that particularly requires superhuman powers. But then it's not the people inside the car that the officer needs to worry about. Frankly, we're at a loss to explain how this extraordinary close call didn't end up with the cops spread across the road like raspberry jam. Saved only by razor-sharp reactions, the officer really does seem to be blessed with a spider sense and has the acrobatic moves to match. Perhaps this Super Trooper really is part spider, although that doesn't quite explain why someone tries to squash him like a fly.
260 at the corner.
On my way.
How to get arrested. By far the most cretinous crime on the roads is driving under the influence, or DUI as the cops call it. But there are plenty of ways to make a simple drunk driving case even more exasperating for everyone involved. For starters, you could pretend to completely ignore the blaring siren and flashing lights behind you.
He's pulling into a parking space.
And when you eventually get home, why not try winding the officer up a bit by keeping him waiting? And when you do leave your car, annoy your cop even more by maintaining the absurd pretense that you haven't noticed him until now.
Hello. Any reason why you're just now stopping?
No, I didn't see you.
Didn't see me, didn't hear me with my siren behind you?
No, I did not.
Huh, did you know you have a flat tire?
Yes?
You know you have a flat tire?
It's unlikely your performance will be convincing enough to fool even the stupidest American policeman, so do be prepared to make a dash for the door.
No, ma'am. Let's go.
By now, the cop should have his hands full. So he'll probably call for backup and sit tight until a second and possibly third police unit arrives.
Okay.
Yeah, of course, she's in custody. Anybody with her?
No, nobody's with her.
Once you've the attention of several troopers, you can see how many profanities you can cram into one sentence.
No, you're not, you fucking bastard. Bastard. Fuck off.
Here, I'm not a
I am
bastard.
here.
Here, we can get it off
No,
this
I
way.
will call my attorney.
I
Yeah.
got mine on
Fucking
too.
bastard.
Yeah.
You fucking bastard.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Okay.
You wiener.
Relax, ma'am.
Now,
Ma'am,
easy,
now just
easy,
hang on,
easy.
hang on,
Don't-
hang on.
don't-
We've got to take you
Don't
first.
play these
honey.
games. Let's
What's she doing?
And you could try your feigning ignorance routine one last time,
What are you guys arresting
but
me
they've probably had enough of you by now.
for?
You got to sit down in the car.
Nobody is going at the back of the car.
Yeah.
No, you
This-
fucking bastard.
This can be harder. It can be easy.
Fucking goddamn.
And when the cops resort to strong-arming you into their cruiser, you can really kick off.
You fucking
You
goddamn.
stay back, sir.
You fucking bastard. I haven't done anything goddamn wrong.
Watch your teeth.
So if you want to add a little something to your next drink driving arrest, try acting dumb
No, I didn't see you.
or talking dirty,
You wiener.
and make sure that the cops get a real kick out of the experience.
Fucking.
Hey, I know. 260 at the corner.
On my way.
It's tough being a fat cop. Your extra pounds can weigh down your cruiser, making it more difficult to catch up with runaway crooks like the red Chevy truck seen speeding off here. It's only because the suspect is either drunk or on drugs and taking corners much too fast that the heavily weighted police car is able to catch up. Officer Tubbs is first at the crash scene. He waddles towards the truck, pistol gripped in his chubby hand. But from this second angle, we can see that the suspect is already halfway down the street. Tubbs realizes and heads off in pursuit, his polyester cop trousers chafing at his thighs as he runs. Watch again as our dumpy deputy points his weapon at a completely empty car while the crook legs it off here. We think one of the more streamlined officers is going to get this bust. The Georgia cop tailing this 4x4 is just gagging to initiate a pit maneuver, a police technique that basically involves ramming your subject off the road. Trouble is, on his own, the officer just can't find the right moment to make his presence felt. Mind you, there doesn't seem to be any shortage of cops. There's a couple of squad cars here, for example, and another one sitting here. Two more cruisers view the action from the safety of the bridge, and yet another cop car sits here, casually watching as the chase races by. But until break time is over and the other cops join in the pursuit, the SUV is free to carry on leading its merry dance, even if that means pegging it up the hard shoulder to avoid the heavy traffic. There's a bit of a surprise for the 4x4 as he weaves out of the traffic jam. Two more squad cars are waiting to head him off. It seems that the cops might have had some kind of plan after all. First contact is made as the cruiser ahead clips his front end. But the SUV driver recovers and comes back for more punishment. It's not long before the driver attempts a pit-style maneuver of his own. He hits our cruiser hard, sending us out of the race. But he loses control and comes to a grinding halt just ahead. Now that the hard work is over, all those cops who are on their lunch break suddenly appear to share the glory. One even manages to pull off a bonnet jump that he learned from Starsky and Hutch. Within seconds, the scene is swarming with cops. Driver and passenger are both hauled out of the SUV and taken down. This guy thought he had the Rozzers licked. But when he rubs this police cruiser up the wrong way, he just makes a lot of cops very cross indeed.
Taking off again.
If you've just switched off the porn, here's what you missed today. We had Christmas shenanigans from these fat Santas, heavy-headed heavy drinkers heading for trouble, superhuman superpowers from this superhero state trooper, and shocking scenes of a serious smash. Plus pile-ups happening the wrong way round, a boozy lady kicking up a stink, and a donut-munching misfit moving slowly. Be careful out there.